Hey guys, Mr. Senior, we're going to go ahead and get started with our lesson for today. Let me go ahead and pull it up for you. All right, so what we're working on today is we're going to be determining the initial value of a function. Okay, so if we think to what we know so far this year, all of our graphs have always started at the origin. Okay, so in 8th grade, not all of our graphs will start at the origin. So some of them are going to start somewhere on the y-axis. Wherever it is on the y-axis is where your starting point is. That's when your x is 0. Okay, so wherever x is 0, that's called our initial value, and that's where it starts on y. So our example here, Mr. Sears wants to buy some new shoes and save some money in a piggy bank. His grandmother gave him $15 to start. So in this case, Mr. Sears didn't start with no money, right? So at 0 time, he didn't start with no money. At 0 time, he started with those $15, which means our graph would then start at 15. Okay, so because it's starting at 15, time is still 0, which is my x, and that is where it goes. So it'll go on 15 on our y-axis. So for our non-example here, it's not when it crosses the x-axis, it's always when it crosses the y-axis. So that 15 on the y-axis, that is where we go for our initial value. Okay, give me 1 second. This decided to freeze. All right, so what we're going to be doing today is just determining the initial value where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so looking up here, this is what's going to help us out today. So on a graph, it's where the point is on the y-axis. So remember, this is our y-axis right here. Wherever it crosses the y-axis, this is the one that goes up and down. Okay, our vertical one. So let's look at our graph. Where does this cross the y-axis? I'm just going to go up and down the y-axis until I hit something, and I hit a point right there. Okay, so when we label this, we're going to call this B. Wherever our y-intercept is, we're going to call it B. Okay, we're not going to call it y, we're calling it B. So in 8th grade, your y-intercept, your initial value, is known as B. So we're going to be calling this B. So B is equal to, so now we'll have, let's see, it goes down 1, goes down 2. B is equal to -2. So go ahead and pause your video, try the one on the right. You're just finding the initial value. All right, so we're still using your graph. I'm just going to go up and down the y-axis until I find it. Let's see, it is right here. If I go up 1, 2, 3, I can see B is equal to +3, and that is my initial value. All right, moving on. So from a table now. So if we look at this from a table, it's the y value where x is equal to 0. So on a table, right, just like this, we'll need to find when x is 0, and that's going to be our b value or our initial value. So I'm going to say b equals, I need to find when x is 0. Not here, right there. So when x is 0, y is -6, which means that would be our point on the y-axis. B would be equal to -6. Go ahead and pause your video, do the one on the right. All right, so same thing, B is equal to, let's see, it's not here, right there. When x is 0, y is -2, meaning this graph would start at -2 on my y-axis. All right, our last variation is from a word problem. So a written description, just like on our concept page, this is where they tell you we start, this is where beginning is, something along that nature. This is kind of like what must happen first. So ASB is looking to order 45 Spirit Wear shirts. Mrs. Oliveira found a company that sells shirts for $6.95 each, plus $10.95 for shipping. If this linear relationship was graphed on a coordinate plane and the y-intercept of a function is represented by 0b, what is the value of b? This is telling me I need to find my y-intercept, which is my b. Okay, so I can think of this. If I'm going to write an equation and I see that it's $6.95 each, thinking back to when we go and create these equations, $6.95 each is really telling me $6.95 like x, because it's going to depend on how many I buy. So that's like a coefficient with a variable. But I have $10.95 shipping. I have to pay that $10.95 shipping. Everything else from my price will go up from there, because that's where I have to start. I'm starting at least that $10.95. $10.95 is my B value here, because we're starting out at that price, and then the shirt cost will go up from that. If I buy one shirt, I still have to pay that $10.95 plus $6.95. If I have two, it just goes up and up and up, but we started at that $10.95 shipping. So go ahead and pause your video, work on the one on the right. All right, so one on the right, we're still looking for a B value. Peter Parker is ordering 100 ounces of a special chemical he needs for his web slingers. ChemWarehouse.com sells the chemical for 87 cents per ounce, which comes in a non-refundable metal container costing an additional $2.97. If the y-intercept of a linear function is represented by 0b, what is the value of b? We're finding our y-intercept again. So let's see, 87 per ounce. Because we have that per there, that's telling me it's going to change. That would be like my coefficient, my variable. That's not a b value. That's a change, which ends up becoming our slope in this case, which we'll get into more next year. All right, so let's keep going. Which comes in a non-refundable metal container? If it's a non-refundable metal container, I need to buy it. I have to buy it. I don't have a choice, which is an additional $2.97. I have to pay that $2.97 to get this container before I can even get the chemical. Because I have to pay this first, this is what I'm starting at, which means I'm starting at $2.97. B would be $2.97. All right, so once again, guys, I know this is new. I know this went quick. Work on it. If you're stuck, come back and see me during tutorial and I'll help you out. Join the live session again if you need to. That way you can hear it one more time. That way you can ask more questions, hear other questions, whatever it may be. So do your best. Come see me if you need help, and have a great day.